The wheat fields waving and the dust clouds blowing, talking about my girl. I've got so much time. You're so lovely.
My husband, Bob Nakaji, was the director of physical therapy at Good Samaritan Hospital here in town. At the end of his 30-plus years there, he had a staff of over 30. We had a reunion of all the people that Bob had hired and had trained, and we had people coming from Wyoming, Washington. It was wonderful. It's a special approach for any dementia patient. You have to meet them where they are. And we don't know where they are sometimes, but we just have to watch the behavior and see where they are, and you kind of work with them there. He has not once said to me, I want to go home. I took him home one weekend, and he was lost at home. And I think that's when I kind of knew that this is home for him now.
The Grove was originally created as a very small project for a very small community in Southern California, and yet it touched a need. And we saw that through people wanting to come and study. We had researchers coming, we had other organizations coming to just look at what was going on. The Grove was person-centered care before it had a name, because the resident was the center of everything. The way the schedule was organized, the way the team members interacted, it was always about that person that drove what happened next.
And then he sailed away.
My dad's always been competitive, so he was in a very competitive industry, the semiconductor industry, so he was busy and hardworking, and he always made it home for dinner every night, which is something important to him. He was a very strong family man. He's my dad, and he's a special guy, and everybody needs to know that. So it's important because even though he's severely limited now, he's still a person of value, and he also contributed a lot. So it's really nice to have people acknowledge that and know that it's not just, an old guy who has dementia. He is a father, an executive, he's a brilliant guy, and he had value, and he still has value. A lot of children, their worst fear is having their parent be in an institution and be ignored and not be cared for. I was hoping that I would see my dad enjoying himself. When you put him in a care place, you're not sure how it's going to go, but we were hopeful.
I think the Grove helps the residents, there's no question, but equally important to me when I was doing my research was the families. I'm so impressed with the families that are caregivers, but there frequently comes a point that they simply cannot do it physically, emotionally.
It just got to the point where physically I could not take it, and emotionally I was really at an edge that I just couldn't do it anymore. And I think that's what happens with many caregivers, because it is 24/7.
And so having a place to come that is safe, that is beautiful, that is familiar, that is friendly, that is more than just a disease, this means a lot to the families. And so it creates home. It really is a place called home for families. Families struggle so much, and there's a lot of guilt, placing mom or dad or a spouse. And we hope that the Grove is really not seen as that, but rather an option that allows you now to become that family member again. We opened the very first community, and it was known as the Grove in Redlands, California. That was in 1996. It's an amazing thing in 20 years that we've changed the way we look at caring for dementia. Before that, everybody had the same model: drugs, restraints, small rooms or wards, long corridors, noisy, smelly. That's what also made me think, we need to do this differently. We don't need these residents with dementia in here with skilled nursing. They don't need skilled nursing, they need a home. After several years of research and trying to fundraise, I was unsuccessful, and I actually remember I gave up. And being a woman of faith, I stood there and said, I can't do this, Lord. If you want this, you're going to have to send me an angel with a checkbook, because I'm done. That afternoon, a gentleman came in and wanted to give a gift for the care his father had received in the health center. He asked me, what do I want? And I frankly am surprised, but I said, I need $150,000 to build this place for people with Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. And I was surprised because he left. But you know, the next morning he showed back up with an envelope and he handed it to me with a check for $150,000. And I called him an angel with a checkbook, and we both broke into tears. The reason it's called a grove is he would not let us use his name, which I assumed we would, but rather I realized that he was a citrus grower in Redlands. He, his father, and his grandfather before, they raised oranges. And so I decided to honor that family and that gift by calling it the Grove.
One of my favorite things to do is to walk my dad out into the little garden, and one of the benches the residents painted. And I remind my dad, hey Dad, look at that bench, you painted that? He goes, yep. So there's a lot of varied things that they do. He enjoys the games where it's competitive, so the balloon volleyball, he's enjoyed that, and he likes anything where he can try and beat somebody else. He doesn't want to just play, he wants to win still.
4, 5, 6.
The reason the Grove works, I believe, it's based on 3 principles. It's based on the team or the staff, it's built on the program, and it's built on the physical plant, the building itself. And all 3 of these things are so important. The team members, most people assume that you're using medical people. Being a nurse, everybody assumed I would think that was just great. I don't. I think it's a social model. This is not a healthcare model. Medical team, nursing, they're all there to be supportive, but there's more to it because these people may well have an experience in the Grove for years. So we need to create life, a life of meaning, a life of dignity. The building actually makes a huge difference as well. Instead of a long corridor hospital where you can get lost, how about creating a home with cues that make it reasonable, with a memory box outside the door that lets me know that this is my room and therefore I'm not going to go in and intrude on someone else. There's a real dignity there. There's a concept by David Troxell and Virginia Bell that all of us need a best friend. And so our team members, now they're best friends, and they've taken the best friend training. And so they know how to relate to residents and to become a really good friend.
They're paying attention to the residents. So it's not just they get it started and walk away. They are highly involved, and they know each other by name, and they have nicknames, and it feels like a ministry almost with some of the best friends.
The team members, and I always say, hire for the heart and train for the task. You can't do it the other way around. And so you can hire lots of different people from different walks of life and then teach them how to do this. If they have the heart for caregiving, they'll do fine.
So say goodbye, it's fraught with today's the last day I see him, but I know he's being cared for. You know, when you're 89 years old, you don't know how much longer that heart's gonna keep on ticking. So it's been a really good thing for my dad to be here.
He just seems comfortable here, and he has not once said, I want to go home. Not once. He questions when if I say, I'm going to go home now, he'll look at me and he'll say, huh? And I just say, I have to go now. I'll see you tomorrow. And then he'll say, okay.
It's okay. Are you okay?